everyone, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to my channel, Squibbles Reads. Today I'm going to be doing another Are These Books Worth the Hype video, where I give you my opinion about books that have gotten a lot of buzz lately. We all work hard to make money and sometimes there is no other option but to buy the book immediately in order to read it when everyone is talking about it, depending on, of course, your available resources, so I will provide you my opinion on whether or not these books are actually worth the hype before you may spend full retail hardcover price on them. The two books I'm going to be talking about today are The Cruel Prince by Holly Black and Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Litsy. So first we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. We have our protagonist Jude, who is taken with her two sisters, her twin sister Taryn and her older sister Vivi, to live in a place called Fairy, and both of their parents were murdered when Jude was 7 years old. We flash forward 10 years and now we are in Fairy, and we discover that the Fae are extremely cruel, mean, awful to people with human blood. The High King has several sons who are all in the running to take the throne after him, and Jude also wants a place in the court. There's a civil war that is threatening to break out, and Jude gets involved in a behind-the-scenes job that involves some scheming and plotting and killing, and then the story really takes off from there. So going into this book, I was super hesitant about it because I saw everyone screaming about it on Twitter. But I do have to say, I was pleasantly surprised, and there were definitely a few things that stood out to me. The first is just how layered and complex the characters are. No one is the hero or the villain, and no one is set up to be any certain thing or trope. Just like any one of us, each one of the characters has different motives and actions that not everyone agrees with, and everyone is in some way self-serving. Next, I really enjoyed the relationship and the portrayal of the dynamic between the three sisters. All of them have been removed from their childhood home and obviously taken to live in Fairy, and they're all dealing with it in their own individual way. For example, Taryn tries to fit in and adopt a lot of the traditions and habits of the Fae. Jude wants to find her worth and is somewhat conflicted, and Vivi wants to go back to the human world. And I think all of this speaks to how people react to adversity and the feeling of not belonging in a system where you don't necessarily have the power. Another thought is that although I thought all the female characters were really multifaceted, I did want a little bit more development with some of the male characters. And because the female characters were done so well, it was obvious when the boys and the men were a little bit less fleshed out, not something that was taking away from my enjoyment. Something else that I wanted to note is that the tension is super high throughout the entire book, but I had a hard time sussing out if it was because there were so many characters and the next unexpected thing was just because I had forgotten about that character in that part of the story, or if the tension was actually well set up. I mean, I think in the end, it doesn't necessarily matter because I was compelled all the way through, but I do think that a lot of the surprise elements came because it was something that I'd pushed back a little bit further in my memory. Someone once said to me in the comments of one of my videos that it's not whether or not authors use tropes, because I think in some ways authors all utilize tropes and archetypes. It's just about how they present and manipulate them, and I think that is 100% true. Here, there was nothing especially new or inventive. It was just the way that the author shaped and structured everything and everyone. And that is what made this book compelling. You know, I don't think I'm gonna be screaming at the top of my lungs in all capital letters on Twitter, but I did think that it was a good, solid fantasy, and if you want some fun and twisty YA fantasy, then I would look no further. And the next book that I'm going to review is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Litsy. Let's just address the elephant in the room before I start. I mean, I don't have to, but I will. So they are booktubers and I'm a booktuber. I think booktube bro code is garbage. I think we are all mature enough to separate the work from the author, except for, of course, the people that will come for me in the comments. There have also already been opinions about whether people who both are and aren't booktubers giving this book 1-star and 5-star ratings, and frankly, I couldn't care less about your Illuminati conspiracy theories about whether you believe someone's like or dislike of the book is genuine or if they have some ulterior motive. If you have beef with someone else, please do not take it to me, please take it to them. I'm talking about my honest opinions only. So now that that's out of the way, Zenith is about a girl named Androma, our female protagonist, or Andy with an I, and she's the leader of a group of girls who are space pirates aboard the Marauder. There's a situation that puts them in harm's way because of a bounty hunter that has been in Andy's past, and some unfinished business there, and there is also another subplot that takes place on a planet called Zenith. Overall, I saw a lot of potential here, but I thought the execution really faltered in terms of the writing, the story structure, and the character construct. And you guys know me, especially when I don't like something, I bring receipts. I will have tons of direct quotes to illustrate my points. I did also read this as an ARC that was sent to me, but I checked all the quotes that I'm going to be using with the finished copy, so no worries there. First of all, there is an excessive use of italics to emphasize mostly single words, but a couple of phrases too. There are many, many more apart from this, but I will read you a few examples, and the words that were italicized in the book will flash on the screen. The memory of him, the pain of her shattered heart. It all twisted into boiling rage as she stared at him, alive and free on her ship. Next example. They would get out of this, wouldn't they? Lyra racked her brain, searching for a solution, a way out. Next one, especially with the plan they'd come up with. High risk, possible reward. So when I read these sentences, whether or not I stress the italicized word doesn't make a huge difference in terms of meaning. A few italics is fine with me, but the issue is when they get excessive and intrusive. It's similar to like on TV cooking competition shows when one of the contestants tells the judge how to eat their food. Like when they say, you might want to put some of the sauce on that, or you want to eat all of these things in one bite instead of eating them individually. There's a certain level of control that it seems like they need over the reader to stress all of these words, and it conveys that they don't trust that the reader will get their intended meaning. Or conversely, they can use more effective words instead of italicizing all these little individual words to scream like, hey, this is super important. Also, I have a few quotes that I can only describe as awkward. I have 3. So let me read you the first one. For one moment, she looked purely Andy. Angry as a wet feline and terrifyingly beautiful. I know cats get mad when they're wet, but it's angry as a wet feline. Then the wet cat similes continue with this quote. The 2 sorry bastards went down fighting, hissing, and spitting like cats thrown in water. And I will let you try and picture that one for yourself. All right, we have awkward quote number 2. Hope is all we have. Hope is a raging asshole, Gilly said. Explain to me, Gilly, Breck said with a sigh. How exactly can an asshole rage? Lyra choked on a sudden, unexpected laugh. I swear, the 2 of you were born with my brother's sarcastic soul. Okay, so first of all, Hope is a raging asshole. And second of all, I didn't find any of this particularly sarcastic. Like, I'm just thinking of iconic quotes from books. No mourners, no funerals. May the odds be ever in your favor. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Hope is a raging asshole. I don't think so. All right, so quote number 3. Andy gave him her trademark glare. I simply meant that you can both terrify any man with a single glance. She flashed him her teeth. Moving on, we also got points of view from 6 different characters. They did seem tedious and out of place, but the question I wanted to ask was why exactly, so let me give you a few things. First of all, we're gonna look at chapter 3. So this is from Andy's point of view, and she's describing a scene where they are being followed and tracked by 3 different space vessels, so no problem there. However, chapter 4 was the exact same scene from the person in one of the space vessels behind them, their point of view, and the only additional information that we got in that scene, besides a ton of repetition, was that this person was just storming around his ship being angry. I'm so angry, like, what do we do? I'm so angry. That's the only information that we got for multiple pages on end. It was totally unnecessary and could have been done in a few lines or just totally omitted. So these 2 points of view, both Andy's and the person in the other space vehicle, her love interest Dex, contributed to the main plot line. However, there were a few other storylines from different points of view, one from a character named Valen and a couple others, both of which are different subplots from both each other and the main plot. I've seen this simultaneous storyline thing done really effectively, for example, in the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. However, each of the subplots here that were not the main storyline had different characters, different languages, and were set in different planets, but they were so short compared to the main storyline that we didn't get any of that fully fleshed out, and I became disinterested in it. As well, in one of the subplots' point of view, there were random words that showed up in a different language in the dialogue that wasn't explained, or explained just minimally, and those words were like this and this. Like I said, one of the points of view was from a character named Valen, and he has about 20 pages in total, and he says the line, "Vengeance will be mine," so many times that it becomes almost like I am Groot, except not in an endearing baby tree sort of way. Moving on, Andy is also known as the Bloody Baroness, capital B's on both words, and we are told in excess about the terror that she could cause. I'll give you some examples. They screamed and succumbed to the trademark agony of the Bloody Baroness. I want the floor stained with their blood, Andy yelled to her crew above the chaos. Gone were her emotions, gone was her heart. Her hands itching to raise hell, draw blood, and spread the glory of her name. The Bloody Baroness was here. She'd make sure every single one of them knew it. The Bloody Baroness never turned away from a fight. It turned into something like, if you've seen Rachel's season of The Bachelorette, you may remember a guy called Waboom. As you can see, Waboom's name is actually Lucas, but he makes this guttural noise that is just an extended Waboom with all the vowels, and shakes his head and his body in a very signature way of his. I swear, if you hear it once, you will never be able to unhear it. He did this also in his first introduction to The Bachelorette, and from there forward, he became known as Waboom instead of Lucas. As you can see in the photograph here, where it says Waboom, that's where people's job titles go. So for example, architect, doctor, his job is being Waboom. But Waboom is just a caricature and a facade. So what we're told is that he's Waboom. Waboom is loud, he's funny, he's entertaining, and he definitely is all of those things. But this impeded Rachel, the Bachelorette, from getting to know Lucas. This is exactly the same as the Bloody Baroness shtick. I didn't want the caricature and the promise of the Bloody Baroness, I just wanted to get to know Andy. So next, I personally enjoyed the dialogue between all of the girls on the Marauder. I thought they had a great strategic, smart dynamic. However, when Andy interacts with her love interest Dex, the dialogue turns into something straight out of a Lifetime film. For example, "What's wrong, Dex? You don't want to come out and play with me?" And he said, her voice a dangerous purr. Dex chuckled, his mahogany hair falling across one brown eye as he stepped forth to meet her gaze. "You were always one for the theatrics and drama, my little bitter ballerina. I am not, and never will be, yours." We'll see about that. Finally, there is this repeated sentence structure that is used over and over again, and this is only just a very small handful of them. She was here. She was safe. The next one is just one quote, but it has two different repeated structures. So, "This is just another day," she told herself. "Just another chase. We're low on fuel, low on ammo," Gilly yelped into the comm. Next quote, "Reminding her of home, reminding her of another past failure." And then on the same page, "Wondering where she'd gone wrong, wondering how she could have saved this crew from fate." And this last one is especially irritating. "This was too easy. Too simple." Easy and simple are really the same thing. So after all of that, overall, do I think Zenith is worth the hype? No, for me, it's personally not. A lot of potential, but ultimately let me down. I mean, I don't think I'll be reading book 2, but never say never. I mean, as they say, hope is a raging asshole. So that's it for this video. I'm really scared of the comment section right now, but let me know what you thought if you read either one of those books. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.